All right, thanks for joining everyone today. My name is Christina Sinopoli, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator at Fruition Partners. And before we get started today, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Fruition Partners. Feel free to submit questions during this presentation, and Austin will address them at the end of the hour. And I just want to make sure everyone knows that this webinar will be recorded and posted to our website sometime next week. And if you registered, you will be notified with an email when it's available. Fruition Partners is a cloud solution provider that offers technology-enabled professional services, and we're supported with a team of 100 cloud experts. The company was founded in 2003, and we've helped more than 150 enterprises implement, build, and manage mission-critical cloud solutions using the ServiceNow platform. Basically, we're focused on complete IT service management integration. From education, where we can help you establish a broader ITSM initiative and provide both ServiceNow system admin and advanced admin training, to administration, where we can build out ServiceNow applications, supplement your existing staff, upgrade you to the latest release, or even take complete management of your instance with our virtual admin subscription program. We also have the ability to build custom apps and tools on top of the platform as well. And now is the time where I'm going to hand this over to Austin, who will go through today's agenda and demonstrate on-call rotation. Thanks for joining.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Austin Buno, as Christina said, and I'll be demonstrating the on-call application. Again, it is a plugin, so you have to enable it in your instance to be able to start with the basic capabilities of it. But here I'm going to walk you through my agenda. First up is basic capabilities of on-call rotation. During this time, we'll just discuss each business role and how each business role is in its different capabilities. So obviously, there's more than one business role. We'll just quickly walk through what each of them do and which ones need to be activated to achieve which proper capabilities. We'll also walk through the tools within the application. This is a pretty cool part of the on-call rotation. It gives a lot of cool UIs and a lot of neat interfaces that you can manipulate and place certain people on call. We're going to also discuss different ways to view these tools, what each one of them do, and how to use each one of them. We're going to discuss how you can personally personalize a rotation, real simple action that can be done on the on-call rotation, and also what are the key fields in the on-call rotation. All right, basic configuration, that's going to be our next thing, and we talk about, show you how to configure a basic rotation. Pretty simple. There's a wizard that allows you to do it in a really simple manner, so then any of your users have the ability to kind of set this up. We'll walk you through the different options that you have available, and also how to configure a rota and navigate the layout of the UI. Sometimes it can kind of be ambiguous on what fields do what, so I'm going to kind of break each one down and provide you as a user the ability to function properly. All right, notification preferences. This is kind of a really neat part of the on-call rotation. This is going to allow us to kind of present how you can change your notification preferences to SMS, and what schedule you'd want to maybe an SMS text compared to an email according to the on-call rotation. Also, another interesting part is that we're going to show you is Twilio, and this is a cloud communication integration piece that calls a phone when you would be on call. Obviously, this application can be used for a lot of different things, and I'm sure you can think of ideas of what to integrate this with. But we're going to show you how to use it with the on-call rotation. So then we'll do the future, which is Twilio, and present that. And then we'll also talk about, go through the questions if you have any. All right. So very simply, the capabilities. User will be assigned to an instance only if the person is currently on call. So let's just switch to the application real quick. And as you can see, so if we switch to the application, We can see the basic business rules. And these are what provide you the on-call escalation. You have on-call assign, current or next, on-call assign, current, on-call notify, cancel, and on-call rotation cancel, and on-call rotation notify. These two business rules right here interact with each other. So if this business rule is true, this needs to be true too. Okay, this is how you rotate through members, and you create a roster. These two business rules are pretty much simple. It looks at the roster that you've created and places the next person on call accordingly. So again, those are just the basic breakdown of the on-call. So you can either escalate through group members according to who's defined in the rota, or automatically assign someone. Those four business rules that I showed you have those capabilities. And if you look at them and read into the commented out text, you can see which ones do which. On-call application. Really simply, you'll be able to figure out from that application for a specified group who is the primary contact at any given time, and when am I on call for this group for this year. If we take a quick look here, we can see that if we navigate to the on-call rotation and we go to the calendars, we can quickly see who is on call, who is the primary on call for the database group Atlanta. So we see that currently there is a user that's the primary. We can click into this. It gives us that flexibility to end this or do as we please. We'll get into that a little bit later. Let's go back to the slideshow. All right. So tools within the application. Some very neat things are that you have a calendar view. I just presented that to you. We also have a way to kind of personalize a roster and make somebody else assigned during any given time. We also have different views, and you can show kind of the forecasting of what user is presented on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of October, and also you can stretch it out to November. So it gives your users ability to understand when they're on call and when they have to be aware of the situation that they might be assigned to a ticket. So if we take a quick look at this, we can see very simply how to use this and customize the rota. Very simply, we can navigate, select a user, say OK. Excuse me on that. Since there's no schedule defined for that piece, we'd have to do it during that scheduled time. See very simply that Bud Richmond now has been the primary contact for this time of the day during this date, during Friday, which is today. Let's go ahead and switch back to on-call. Also, the ability to manipulate your rotation. Very simple. You can see that you can move users from right to make them part of the list. Let's take a look at that. So we go, you navigate to the rotas, you click through. Very simply, you can navigate and edit the rotas accordingly. Anything is possible here to be able, if any group member is possible to remove or add to any rota at any given time using this interface. It automatically updates the schedule and provides your users to view into it and understand where they are in the rotation and if they're next. All right. So basic configuration. All right. Basic configuration. This is pretty much setting up the rotation. As I said, there's a very easy interface that we will be using. So let's go ahead and try. Let's go ahead and try that. Very simply, you will come to the on-call rotation. You'll create a new roster. This will be for the service desk. Okay. We'll name this Rota Service Desk 24/7. A manual schedule. As I presented earlier, as I presented earlier, you have the ability to customize a roster. And when you do a manual roster, you have the ability, if you select this, you have the ability to customize the whole schedule. Pretty tedious operation. I wouldn't suggest that, but it is something that I've seen clients do, but I wouldn't suggest that. And obviously, it can be customized the same way by going to the on-call calendar and customizing it properly, like I stated. You'd have to do the whole thing, though, which is not very fun if you understand where I'm coming from. So we were going to choose a 24/7 schedule. The rota start date is today. We'll go ahead and submit this. As you can see, the rotas became 24/7. We're going to get rid of the on-call rota that I specialized a little bit ago, just for demoing purposes. And you can see that now I'm currently the primary admin. If we take a look here at the on-call rotation, we can see now it's provided in me because I'm in this group. And now we can start specializing, start defining how we want this rotation to interact with us as a organization. So one of the key things here is to first get your roster situated. Who do you want to be primary? Who do you want to be secondary? Who do you want to be the third person in your escalation? This can all be defined right here. You can also define how often you want it to rotate. You can rotate every 1 week, which means since this started on Friday, it means it's going to rotate the next week accordingly. We can take a look into that if you want and view that by coming in here, clicking the schedule, and so we can see if we advance 1 week, we see that I am no longer on Friday the primary. Chris Dial is now the primary. We can get a different view of this if you would like. We can see now pretty much here, which is pretty neat here, you can get a different view. You can also expand it out even farther to get an even better view of it. So pretty much all is able to come in one place and understand exactly who's on call and who isn't on call. Also, let's go ahead and look at the notification roles. All right, so the different type of notifications we can do. We can rotate through group members. We can also do a group device. I'm sure everyone understands what a group device is. You know, in an older service desk, they might have a single phone that they pass out to the person that's on call for that day, and it will continue to call that group on-call device until he currently responds to it. Rather it be email or texting, what ServiceNow has the capabilities of, we've integrated with Twilio, so now it gives us the ability to call that phone instead of just text or email. We'll present that a little bit later. Also, the member, we have a choice to be able to just add a member in there. So if you choose somebody from this group like myself, it would automatically just continue to email that person or text that person until they go ahead and submit, put their name and assign to on the incident. And then on-call only, that will be selecting the person that is primary on call. So if we take a look back here and we look at the calendar, we will see that I will continue to get that call until I come in and put my name in and assign to of that incident. All right, so I've set up that rotation pretty simply. Wasn't that difficult? Just went to create a new roster and filled out the proper information. Let's go ahead and navigate now back to the presentation. All right, so I talked about the basic layout, schedules, notifications, rosters. Rosters, devices, what everything does. Okay. Talked about how we can customize. Let's walk through that a little bit more and actually exactly what each can do. So the 3 things you can do when customizing a roster. You can provide an on-call coverage for a time or member. You can specify extra times when a rota is active. You can also schedule time off for a member. So let's go ahead and walk through those processes real quick. So real quickly, if I wanted to schedule somebody that's going to be not available to work for a certain period of time, I could simply highlight the selected area that they're going to be off. And I can choose the member. So let's go ahead and choose Darren, saying he's not going to be available during this time. As you can see, then he's been placed here and he's no longer available. This can be moved very simply. And now the time now transitions over here too, which is pretty cool, which is pretty neat for a user interface. Let's also look at another ability we have. If we wanted to, for tomorrow, we can say that we want to make someone else the primary on call because I have another duty to attend to. So we'll make Cameron Stone the lead on call for this time. As you can see, he's been placed right there. This can also be moved just as easy. Also, last but not least, the ability to specify extra time for a rota. Obviously, since it's 24/7, it won't benefit us, but you have that ability to do. All right, so bringing it all together and kind of bringing it full circle. So this is kind of the part that a lot of organizations have trouble with and get confused about. They need the three things to understand is you need to have a rota set up for that group. So you cannot just select any random group. A rotation has to be set up for them. And as we just saw, I have a rotation set up for my group. If we go to my groups, we have a rotation set up for my group. So if there's not a rotation set up for that group, it's not going to be allowed to be escalate and be on call. All right. Also, proper events need to be registered. So in these business rules, we have basic events that run. And I'm sure if any of you are admins, you understand what an event is. You can understand that you need to have these events set up on your notifications for these emails to go out. Out of box, these are not set up. So there's a few events that are going to be presented to you. As we can see here, there's a few events. One of the events is right here, on-call user, which needs to be set up. And then on-call escalation, which needs to be set up too. So you need to set up those emails with those events attached to them for this to be working properly. Something that sometimes causes confusions within an organization is not having those events set up. So something to remember when you're setting that up. All right. So proper notifications need to be set up, proper events need to be registered, and proper schedule has to be defined. So, for example, if you submit an on-call incident and that is not on schedule in the schedule, it's not going to start the escalation of the on-call rotation. All right. So notification preferences. This is pretty much where the integration piece kind of takes hold in evolution. This is where you would set up a voice call from a Twilio integration. You could also set up an SMS, and you can also set up an email. So let's go ahead and walk you through how you would do this. So we would navigate to my preferences, and this is how to my profile. You would change your notification preferences like this by clicking on the related link in your profile. You could then see that you have some set up and subscribed to. I've already set mine up. As you can see, I have a phone call set up, but you can set up from SMS. You can also set up the email. And again, you can apply a schedule to each one of these notifications that will allow you to understand, well, maybe from 5 to, whatever amount of time it is before you go to work, you'd probably want it to call your phone. But from, when you're at work, from that 9 to 5 time slot, you would probably want it to give you an email. So you have that ability and that flexibility to define that in each one of these events. So you just place a schedule on it accordingly. Very simple action, pressing the plus button, bring this up, and allows you to find that notification, and you can place a schedule on. So we're going to do this as a phone call, just to show you the Twilio integration and present to you kind of its flexibility and what it does. I'm going to change this number. All right. I'll go ahead and update my profile. And now it's been updated, so it understands that, if I get a on-call escalation according to these events, it's going to call my phone. All right. Before we get into that, I want to bring in Cameron Stone. He's one of our main presenters here, one of our main developers for Twilio. So I'm going to let him speak on Twilio real quick and just let you know exactly what happened and how it transpired to get this to work properly.
Hello, my name is Cameron Stone with Fruition, and I've been mainly working with Twilio, and I'll go briefly into what Twilio is and what they do. Twilio is a cloud-based voice over IP provider, cloud communications. They have some incredible API technology. Well, it's all pretty standard, like REST. They have their own little XML markup language, and they make things extremely simple. They have clients as large as eBay, Walmart. People are doing just about everything you can think of, from something as little as an SMS gateway, which I know can be tough for smaller companies. They don't want to pay for something like that. Twilio can provide that. They also can to scale as large as an entire call center in the cloud, built right within your application. We can even implement this inside of ServiceNow. It's something that we've been kind of working with a little bit, trying to get the call center functionality right inside of the ServiceNow windows. But we had a client come to us and wanted this on-call escalation to be able to call them, let them know that the escalation had happened to an incident per se. So say a server goes down and it generates an incident. It would start going through the rotation, calling everyone in that rotation and allowing them to press 1. So once you would press 1, you would be assigned that incident, and the on-call escalation would completely stop at that point. So it gives you quite a bit of flexibility. There's lots that can be done with Twilio. We like it here at Fruition quite a bit. We're working with them on many, many projects. So I will kind of hand it back over to Austin, and we can run through a test here and kind of show you how we did this.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and run through a test here and show you kind of how it was done exactly. Let's go ahead and very simply, we're going to create an incident and go ahead and assign it to the service desk. This will allow the on-call escalation to kick off. All we would need to do is come in, and I can assign the using the calls from Twilio. So I'll go ahead and start presenting that. And so I have set up my phone calls for the voice call, and this allows me to then have Twilio call. So we're going to go to navigate to the incident, but first I need to turn on those incident business rules. Again, as I spoke about earlier in the demonstration, I talked about having the proper business rules turned on to achieve what your organization would want, according to if they want the next person on call or they want it to escalate through group members. So quickly, we're going to personalize personalized business rules. We'll bring up the proper business rules. And as we can see, notify is the one we want to turn on, because this allows us to escalate through group members. The on-call assign, which is current or next, just pretty much assigns the very next person in line to be assigned to an incident. So I'm sure you can think of ideas of what this is used for, but in terms of kind of a rotation style of a rotational style on-call process, it would not be very beneficial. So I'm going to set these to true, which they actually already are. These need to remain to be false. So with the on-call escalation, you're going to have to pick or choose what you want to present to your business users. To your technicians. If you want to do a rotation, you would do a rotation. If you want to do the next person on call, then you'd have to turn these two business rules on and set these to false. That's it's a very general idea. A lot of organizations have trouble comprehending the idea that it's only capable of doing one sort of system. All right. So we're going to navigate to the incidents. On-call escalation only works with new incidents too. So if an incident has already been submitted and you want to put an on-call group on it expecting it to be escalated through the membership, that's not going to happen. It only happens for an insert. We'll just quickly choose service desk. And we'll say I'm just going to submit this incident. One more time. As you can see, that one was out of schedule. Did not put the right preferences on it. Right. And we will do a as you can see, another phone is ringing. Twilio has just made a call to me saying that I'm on call, so let's go ahead and see what it says.
Austin, this is ServiceNow calling. There is a problem with S400. The problem is my computer will not start up. Please help me to accept assignment of this incident. Press 1. Another key to repeat.
We'll go ahead and repeat the message once more.
S400. The problem is my computer not start up. Please help me to accept assignment of this incident. Press 1. Press any key to repeat.
I'm going to go ahead and press 1.
Incident type NC0010446 has been assigned to you. Thank you.
As you can see, it gives you a confirmation message. It allows you to, then it gives you a confirmation message, and you realize now you've been assigned to that incident. If we refresh this, then you've been assigned to that incident. All right, so let's go ahead and walk through the other business rules and their capabilities. So then we just saw the notification and the escalation. There's other ways to handle that. You obviously can do SMS. You obviously can do email. Regardless, just something to keep in mind is that on your on-call escalation, if we go to my groups, if you're going to do the notify, which is rotating through the group members, you need to understand that your rotation is defined here. And this is your rotation start date. So wherever your rotation start date happens, that's going to start your rotation. And if you have it rotating every week, obviously your rotation is going to change. So you have to understand that later on the next week, Chris Dow is now going to be the leading primary, and I'm going to be all the way at the bottom. Cameron Stone is going to be the person that's secondary. away from the second to the primary. All right. So now let's go ahead and walk through what the other business roles do. That was just the basic on-call escalation. Let's go ahead and navigate back to the incident form. And let's turn on the other business roles. So go ahead and personalize business roles. I will turn off the business roles that I currently have turned on. And I will turn on the two business roles that we want to demonstrate. All right. The two business roles that I turned on allow you to assign the next member in the group. So if a user has been submitted and he's already assigned to the incident, it's going to automatically go to the next person. So for example, if we go to our on-call rotation, we can see that I'm currently the primary, so I'm going to get this first ticket. Then after I get the first ticket, Chris is going to get the ticket. It's because I've been assigned automatically. Next person, Cameron. Next, Darren. And next, Sal. All right. So let's go ahead and navigate to the incident form, and let's go ahead and create a new incident. Configuration item. Go ahead and give it to the service desk. And then we're going on to submit it. I'm going to be automatically assigned to this incident. As you can see, since I digress. Since I already assigned myself to the previous on-call escalation, Chris was the next in line. He's been assigned. Now, if we go to another incident and create a new one, the person underneath should then be assigned. Go ahead, head back to the. All right. So kind of leads me into any questions. So a demonstration. Also, we can switch to SMS texting, and that's very simple. So we navigate back to my profile. We can see that we can switch to a text message, click to choose a proper service provider, go ahead and do Sprint. And this allows us to then have a text message. We can also place a schedule on this. So if we go ahead and navigate back to incident, and go to the business rules, you can see that we have these turned on, so we need to turn these off and bring on the correct. Right. We create a new incident. We now can present this to an SMS text message, which will be assigned to me. I'll start the rotation. keep on doing that. I keep on putting the wrong one on there. So if we add the right configuration item, and correct service desk, submit it. We can now see that it's in schedule and it's going to start the escalation. So that's pretty much that. Let's go ahead and look at the schedules and see what other customizations, and walk through how we can manipulate an on-call rotation to kind of bring added value to our organization. So let's walk through each field and realize what each one of it does. Okay, so here's pretty much, we walk through what the schedule does and what it presents to you, and the ability and the flexibility with its UI. Again, we saw this. You can also, go back and add time to this. All right. So also the notification rules. Let's go ahead and take a peek in here. Walk through each field and exactly what it does. All right. So we walked through this, but initial delay obviously is how many minutes you want to delay after the incident gets submitted. So obviously when an incident gets submitted, it gets assigned to the help desk. They're going to receive an email. All group members are going to receive an email. So obviously if a group members receive an email, they might want to assign it to themselves. So if you give them an initial delay before you start sending out escalations, you have the ability to choose that preference with this field right here. Also, you can choose the number of attempts, which is the number of times that it's going to be sending to that person in the rotation for the escalation in the roster. One thing to think about is in on-call escalation, it only goes through your roster one time. All right, so if you have a certain number of members of groups in a roster, it's only going to go through them once. So by giving in a certain number of attempts, you can specify how many times you want to notify that person. For example, if we want to notify each member twice before we escalate to the next person, that's what this would be used for. Also, we have a field called subsequent delay. And this is the presenting how long you want it to delay each notification. So for example, if we have 15 minutes, we understand that I'll notify the first primary person, and then 15 minutes later it's going to notify the secondary. 15 minutes later it's going to notify the third person. Also, you can define your roster here. For example, if you wanted to create a new roster, you would have the ability to span out your rosters. For example, if we wanted to create a new roster, then you can phase out the start date of it, start time. All right, and then easily enough, if you head into the rota, when that week comes about, you can follow that week, and then you can find that rotation here and specify its second week. So you can pretty much span out your rosters as much as you want to allow you that flexibility for an admin to come into the system and to create as numerous different kinds of rosters. For example, I have a client right now that has they come in and they create a bunch of different rosters for a whole month. Well, all they have to do is create those rosters for a whole month and come in each week and just assign that roster to the correct schedule as we did here, the correct notification rules as we did here, and it's going to kick off accordingly each week. As you can see, you can continue to do that. You can also deactivate a roster from the front. You can send on-call reminders. An on-call reminder is a scheduled job that runs through your on-call application every single day, and looks to every single day at 12 o'clock and looks to see who's on call. and that person will get an on-call reminder informing them at 12 o'clock that you're on call for the next day. Letting them know that they're going to be the primary. Anything that happens for the service desk, they need to be aware of it. Obviously, your reminder lead time, you can do 2 days, you can do 3 days, you can specialize it as far as you would like. It allows you the flexibility to span out your reminders to give somebody a whole week's notice, so that in the case that they need to find somebody else for that primary job, that primary for a certain number of time, which can be defined in a schedule using the interface, you can allow them to have a certain amount of time and give themselves a person to be on call for their certain time. All right. Let's go ahead and look into the rosters and look at each field here. So then you can define your rotation schedule. This is pretty much something that out of box needs to be already populated. So the first time you submit a roster, this is going to be automatically populated. Rotation interval is obviously weekly. You understand that every single week, as I stated before, Chris Dow is now going to be in front of me. I'm going to move down, and then Cameron's going to be the secondary. You have rotation start date. Again, this is how you phase out your rotas. If you want to have one start on this day, and then you have another one phase it out and start on another day, it gives you that ability to create extra schedules for a user, leading on to a different date. There's obviously going to be different schedules for different dates, for holidays, and whatnot. All-day rotation. Pretty much, if you want, that means it gives you the ability to rotate all day. So if we take this away to daily, you can also see this. Rotate every 1 day. Rotation starts, so rotate every 1 day. You can also rotate every 2 days, every 3 days. It gives you a little bit more of a flexibility to kind of mix it up to who's going to be the primary and secondary. Reminder lead time is something that just gives you, again, is the clicking of that, and then you can take that away too. So then let's talk about the modules. You have the ability to run reports on the emails that have been going out. So each one of these, let's walk through each one of them. The create new rota, we walk through that. The my groups rota, this gives you the entry point for an end user or an on-call rotation to see rosters that they are part of. So again, if you click on this, I can see that the roster I'm a part of. Obviously, I can also go to all and see all rosters, but usually group members are going to just want to see the rosters they're a part of. On-call calendar. This provides information about currently defined rotations as well as interface for manipulating these rotations. We pretty much walked through this already, but as we can see, I can switch it up and I can bring it to this rotation and I can make changes. Some questions. And also, we have a rotation schedule report. This is a reporting mechanism for accessing information about on-call rotations. Pretty much simple duty is we can span it out a little bit. Let's take this one back a little bit, and then run the report. You'll be able to see there is none for that selected group because I did not select any groups. Find a group. We're going to run this report. You can see that I had one primary that we just saw from on-call rotation. Pretty evident. Notification reports. This provides information about how an incident should be escalated for a certain roster. Okay, so again, we'll do service desk. And we'll do the specialist date. We'll do the day. And we'll say active roster members, and go ahead and run the report. As you can see, this is what was presented to us. We can see Austin Buno, Chris Dow, Cameron Stone, Darren, and Sal. Pretty simple. Roster schedule types. This is where you define a roster schedule type. Obviously 24/7, off hours work day, and then work day, and like from 8 to 5 and 9 to 5. pretty much probably wouldn't cover all on-call schedules. I could see, for an example, you could probably, as an example, you would want to maybe have an on-call from 5 a.m. to maybe your 9 a.m. to the work date for a critical on-call CI. This would give you that flexibility. Anybody that has the Rota admin role, it has the ability to create a schedule. So obviously you can choose your correct time. You can give it a name. Go ahead and submit it. This is going to bring up a related list. And this is where you define the schedules. All right? So for example, let's do go as on-call. Let's choose from starting this day, going to this day, and we'll do it from this time to this time. So that's not that far, so let's go ahead and span that a little bit more. Let's do 20. Submit it. As you can see, you can pretty much define your schedule right here, and then you can use this schedule accordingly. It does not repeat. On call, if you create a new schedule, you can see now it's presented there. So you have that flexibility to create customized schedules accordingly. If we go ahead and create the service desk, we can see exactly what it looks like. It's going to actually interfere with one of them because it's already, it overlaps, but that's okay. See, we can take a look here at this calendar. As you can see, go ahead and so that kind of leads me to questions. I did see we did have some questions here, so let's go ahead and get to it. Can you uncheck all-day rotation? Yes. So one of the questions was, can you uncheck all-day rotations? Yes. You don't have to do an all-day rotation. It doesn't need to be checked. You can also do it, daily, weekly. It allows that flexibility. So that's one of the benefits. Can you rotate several people through the day by hours? So one of the key things to think about that is you definitely can. That's going to be a little bit more of a manual process. For example, we're going to want to come to our schedule. For something like that, you probably would want to do a manual schedule, but you could do one that's already kind of contained. And then you'd want to start, you'd have to select an hour and add a person for that hour exactly. Does seem a little tedious. Probably not the best way to go about it. Probably some kind of customization would work a little bit better. But as you can see, I can just continue to add persons for people for that hour. I guess maybe something you could do on the service desk in a proper scenario is you could say that each member of the group needs to come in and put what hour they're going to be on accordingly to the escalation. So obviously that would take a little bit of time in the beginning of the day, but it kind of could be on a first serve first basis. All right. See what else there is. How do you add a manual entry on the calendar for a time that covers multiple schedules? So actually, you're not actually possible currently out of box to be able to have that flexibility. You would have to go to that next schedule and add that time manually. You cannot just Yeah, you can't just cover one schedule and expect it to go to the other schedule. You're going to have to kind of go schedule by schedule and add an hourly schedule manually. Probably not as intuitive as you would like, but it gives that flexibility. Is there any other questions out there? Any other things that you would like me to cover with our last 10 minutes? All right, it looks like there is no other questions. Any comments or anything else, you can kind of email me. Oh yeah, there is one other slide though. Actually, I'd like to present is how to get in touch with us. So any type of integration with Twilio, or any type of integrations with on-call escalation, please contact us at Fruition Partners. Any info, if you need info, please email info@fruitionpartners.com. You can reach us on Twitter @FruitionPartner. We couldn't add the S, it was too many characters, so @FruitionPartner. Facebook.com, we always have a site, and also you can catch us on LinkedIn. So any kind of questions, comments, concerns, anything that you would like to see, we can obviously present that to you. Also, any type of information you'd like about Twilio and kind of integrating that with the on-call application, we can present that to you. I'd like to thank everybody for their time.